Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, what does LaVar Ball's latest bombshell mean for Lonzo and the Lakers? Plus, Ray Lewis joins the show to break down the AFC playoff race. And should Eli Manning start for the Giants on Sunday? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Let's get started with LaVar Ball. He's at it again. Last month, LaVar called the Lakers coaches soft and said they didn't know how to coach his son. Lonzo sat out the entire fourth quarter in Sunday's loss to the Rockets and only scored 2 points. LaVar spoke out again yesterday about Lonzo's state of mind during the Lakers' current 5-game losing streak. Let's take a listen.
He's very disgusted but won't say anything because he's not used to losing like this. This is an easy, fixable thing if everybody would just drop their egos and just listen to what I'm saying. Build it around Lonzo, you're going to be successful, but that sounds too bold. Let me ask you this. Would you say somebody is the face of your franchise and then don't start them the fourth quarter, the whole fourth quarter? We've been trying it their way, and that's why the record is raggedy.
Shannon, what do you make of this?
Yeah, he could be successful. If somebody just dropped that ego, Skip, that would be off.
Drop that ego?
No.
LaVar Ball said that?
So I just want to make sure I'm hearing LaVar correctly. Lonzo is the first rookie that's upset with losing. So losing is only mutually exclusive to Lonzo Ball. Is that what LaVar wants us to believe, Skip? Can I ask you a question, Skip? And feel free to answer this. Can you tell me why should Luke Walton play Lonzo Ball in the fourth quarter? Because let me give you these numbers, and then you respond.
I don't think he wants me to respond.
Yeah, I do. I want you to respond just to this.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter, Lonzo Ball is shooting 27% from the floor. He's shooting 16% from the three-point line. He's 3 of 18. Mind you, against Sacramento, Joy, he was 2 of 2. So in the other game, he 1 of 16 from three-point line. Okay. How are we supposed to play him, Skip? Oh, okay. Saturday night, Joy, I happened to watch this game because, Skip tell me he's going to be transcendent. And I blew off a date. Had me a good old date night. Had a good old date night. I said, I want to see old
This is not true. But
it is true story, true story.
True.
I said,
no way that happened.
Skip it. I want to see what Lonzo going to do. Because Skip tell me Lonzo Ball is...
True.
You got it like that to be blowing off dates?
Blew it off.
Lonzo Ball?
Say, I ain't going nowhere. I said, I want to see Lonzo. Watched him. Put him on both TVs, Joe. I got 2 TVs, got them side by side, like 140 inches. I thought I was in a movie.
If she was a real one, she would watch it with you.
No, I had to watch this by myself.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, because I ain't want no interruption. I ain't want nobody.
is piling up on the other side of the desk right now.
So let me get this straight. So Luke Walton didn't start him in the fourth quarter, Joy. He checked into the ball game at 4:51 remaining in the game.
You're talking about Sunday night?
I'm talking about Saturday night against the Nuggets.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, as I was saying, Joy, before I was rudely interrupted, Luke Walton checked him in at 4:51 in the ball game. Jordan's score was 98-98. Trey Bucket is 100-100. Guess what the final score was, Joy? 115-100. Lonzo Ball was a plus-minus of -15 in the fourth quarter alone. But somehow LaVar Ball wants his son to play more. See, unlike you, LaVar, Luke Walton's job is not to hype your son. Luke Walton's job is to try to coach this basketball team and put the best 5 players on the floor at a given time that gives them the best chance to win. And see, what LaVar hasn't figured out yet, Skip, you can talk your way into endorsements. You can become a pitch man for a sneaker company. You can sell cars. You can sell beverages. You can't talk yourself into playing good ball on that court. And that's what LaVar thinks he can do. Oh, they just listen to me. That's the problem. They're not listening to you. So that's why it's great for them. If they listen to you, he reminds me of somebody else I know, Skip. I'm not going to say the guy's name, but every time when something goes wrong, it's always somebody else's fault. Joy, you know what I'm talking about. But think about this, Joy. I didn't like a call from the ref. Guess what I do, Skip? I take my boy off the court. I didn't like that UCLA was going to punish my son for something that he stole. I take my son out of school. You see what we're seeing here, Skip? It's always someone else's fault except his son. Now, let's just say for the sake of argument, Skip, that what LaVar said is true, that Lonzo told him that he's disgusted with losing. Do you think Lonzo wanted his dad to go tell that to the media? Lonzo's figuring out for himself, there's something I got on my mind, I got on my chest, I need to keep that between me. Because if I tell it to my dad, it's going to go to the media. So now, guess what's happening? They looking at him sideways. Oh, you tell your dad everything. Yeah, we thought you were soft. You validating everything that we thought, you soft. LaVar Ball is going to be a problem, Skip Bayless.
I agree times 1,000 with everything you just said, and I'm going to take it a big step farther. Of all the bombshells that LaVar Ball has dropped on the world, this one is by far the biggest and potentially the most destructive. He just said that 23 games into this NBA season, his rookie son, Lonzo Ball, is already disgusted with the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. So now I get what happened Sunday night at Staples against the visiting Houston Rockets, because the game that I watched on Sunday night, and I watched them all very carefully, I told you that Lonzo Ball basically shut it down in that game on Luke Walton. And in the end, I tweeted after the game on Sunday night, I know it was an NFL Sunday, but I got my multiple TVs on too, and I'm watching your Eagles and my Lonzo head to head, and I'm saying, what are you doing? Because he wasn't doing anything. He clearly was quitting on the court against Luke Walton. In the only 22 minutes that he played in that game, he barely tried. He disengaged. He unplugged. And at the end of the game, I tweeted, this is just hard to figure, because I was dumbfounded until I heard his father say yesterday, he's disgusted. And to your point, now he has made public his son's deepest feelings about the head coach after he criticized Julius Randle, a teammate of Lonzo's, for not getting him the ball at the end of Golden State, one of the home games he actually played pretty well in last week. And I got to believe that didn't sit well with Julius or the rest of the team. You are breaking unwritten rules right and left. You are making it harder and harder and harder on your son. And back to the Rockets game, it got so bad in the second half and the minutes that Lonzo was allowed to play that he would inbound the ball after a made basket to Brandon Ingram, and Brandon would give it, he's the point guard, Brandon would just give it right back to him, and he would give it right back to Brandon at the end of the floor and say, you dribble the ball up the court. Brandon Ingram is a 6'9" small forward.
Yeah.
Lonzo, I thought, was supposed to be the point guard, and Lonzo would just drift over to the weak side and basically stand with his arms folded, watching the others run the offense. When he would dribble the ball up the floor, Lonzo would half-heartedly flip it over to somebody on the wing and drift to the weak side and basically stand with his arms folded, watching the others run the offense. I've never seen anything quite like that. So now I get it, but I don't like it because, remember, for those who just joining us, who have been on Mars for the last 6 months,
that's your guy.
LaVar has coached all three of his sons all the way up through whatever the Little League was or Church League or whatever, and up through AAU. And he has taught his sons, if you don't like it, quit. We'll go find someplace else. So clearly, just to reiterate, his youngest son, they didn't like the direction the new head coach at Chino Hills High School is going this year. So he yanks him out of school before his junior year of high school and says, I'll get him ready for the NBA. Then his middle son shoplifts in China. They're lucky to be home, but he did not like the way Steve Alford was handling the punishment of middle son, so he yanks him out of UCLA and says, I'll get him ready for the NBA draft. Now he doesn't like the way Luke Walton, only 23 games into an 82-game schedule, is coaching and handling his oldest son, and he's basically saying his oldest son is disgusted. So what's he going to do? Yank him? Is he going to demand a trade, I don't know, to the Clippers? I don't know. Or, seriously, this is where all this is heading. Will ultimately LaVar Ball have to start his own league in LA with a bunch of cast-off players, and he will coach all three of his sons on one team, and the other teams will be the equivalent of the old Washington Generals against the Globetrotters?
Or put them in the big three.
Or put them in the big three.
You would love to have them.
You could have them. They'd play in the big three, and they can win every game by 50 points. And also, you have to let LaVar coach and referee every game, right? Just to make sure that the calls go the right way,
Skip,
right?
so because what you're seeing, Skip, his son shoplifting in China isn't the problem. Steve Alford's punishment of said shoplifting.
Yeah, but did you see what he said yesterday? Yeah. LaVar had the audacity to say that Steve Alford should bear some responsibility because you can't let those kids go out by themselves in China. And Steve Alford said, we had an hour-and-a-half window, and I told them they have to go as a group in China. They have to stay together.
But not go steal as a group.
No,
we didn't want you to go shoplifting as a group.
What? What?
Oh.
And it's Steve Alford's fault? I mean, they're 18. I mean, when you were 18, you could sort of go your own way, right? I mean,
Skip,
you went off to college?
We went off to college,
Yeah.
Skip, when we traveled everywhere by bus.
Sure.
And a lot of times we stopped at places like Morrison's or S&S Cafeteria, and we ate as a team. We have a couple of minutes to walk through the mall. We didn't go steal.
Nope.
People, you know what? Skip, think about this. He said, and Lonzo said they went and everybody started taking stuff. Where in the hell did they do that at?
LeAngelo said that.
Angelo, he said we just started taking stuff.
And he said, not until I got back to the hotel did I realize, oh, that wasn't right. What? He thought, we're going to get away with this, no problem.
Klepto. That's klepto, sir. I told you klepto. The son. Okay, it's not the coach. Okay, the coach want to coach my son. No, it's your fault. It's your fault that you won't let my son shoot 50 times or as many times in a game. So that's your fault. Okay, his son is struggling. Skip, the only thing that's saving his son is that the first pick in the draft has been worse than his son, who's the second pick, because Markelle Fultz hasn't been playing that much. Mm-hmm. But if you look at Donovan Mitchell, you look at Jason Tatum, you look at Dennis Smith Jr., Skip, is not even close. Mm-hmm. They show up every night. They don't win. They're on bad teams. But they show up and they play hard every night. No one is questioning their effort, or are they motivated, or are they happy to be here? Mm-hmm. Lonzo's like, oh, well. And his dad, well, it's your fault, Luke Walton, because you don't know how to coach my son. What about your son shooting 27%? What about the 16% from three? Skip, he's averaging 1.8 in the fourth quarter. If we're behind, what in the hell is 2 points going to do? If we're ahead, how do I keep him on the court? The wide open shots, he's missing. LaVar, at some point in time, you doing all this talking is just noise. You can't talk your son into playing better. Either he does or he doesn't. Either he can or he can't.
Okay, speaking of can or can't, I'm going to frame this one last time because you believe that Lonzo is a soft bust, and I do not. I believe what Earl Watson, who was here yesterday, former coach of the Phoenix Suns, has coached for San Antonio in this league, has been around a long time. He believes that Lonzo Ball is quote-unquote special. And I believe that, too, because I have seen special a number of times already in this still young 23
What have you seen more of, though?
Here's what I've seen. I saw Summer League, and you laugh at Summer League, but you just brought up all those kids, everybody you just mentioned, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Dennis Smith Jr., I can keep going, De'Aaron Fox. All these kids played in that same Summer League, so you can discount the Summer League all you want, but Josh Jackson was there, Fultz was there. They all played.
Yes.
And guess who the MVP was?
Yes.
I saw it. I saw special in the Summer League because he was engaged.
If you don't mind
he
me
cared.
Let's talk about the game, a sport that you've covered and you follow a little bit more extensively. The preseason football. Have you seen guys be special in preseason and not in the regular season? Yes, you have, Skip. And
it's just different. It's a whole different animal. These are sort of real practice games, but they're real. They're on television. They're a big deal. The Summer League games are bigger.
They put preseason football games on TV.
I got you. And by the way, I've covered the NBA just as much as I covered the NFL.
Would you like football better, though?
I don't.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Well, I do. I ain't going to listen to me lie. Yeah. But here's the thing, though, Skip. But if you think about it, I'm not saying he's a bust. I don't see special. But you see soft also. Even Earl Watson said yesterday, when Jamal Murray dribbled that ball around, you got to take that tick there.
Yeah, but against that same Denver team that you're talking about, I saw Lonzo go for 19, 12, and 13. That's pretty good. And against Earl Watson's team, while he was still coaching Phoenix, against Eric Bledsoe and Devin Booker, I saw Lonzo in game number 2 this year, and go ask Earl off camera about that game, how special that game was. I saw Lonzo Ball in attack mode the whole game go for 29, 11, and 9. It wasn't quite a triple-double, but 29, 11, and 9. And he just flat out took the game over. We're seeing some of the highlights right now. Down the stretch of the fourth quarter, It was spectacular. He just attacked the lane again and again. He scored 3 baskets with his left hand in the last 2 minutes of that game to seal the deal against a Phoenix team that was playing hard against mostly LaVar Ball, like to put LaVar back in his place like everybody else was. And then I saw the triple-double at Milwaukee. It's just not that easy. And then Eric Bledsoe was then in Milwaukee. And again, to have 2 triple-doubles already and to have consecutive rebound games of 16 and 13 rebounds, it's just special. And I see these big flashes of special, and then I see the games that you're talking about. There have been 4 home games this team should have won, and I told you yesterday, I blame the point guard, quote-unquote, Lonzo Ball, who plays non-games at home occasionally when he just completely disengages. And he disengaged against Houston, and I call that basically quitting on the floor. You're just shutting it down because you don't like the way you're being handled by the head coach.
Okay.
And that's from the father. That's the way father taught son to react.
Okay, Skip, you said they played 23 games. You mentioned the 2 games in which he's had triple-doubles, and you mentioned the third game in which he had 29, 12, and 9. What about those other 20 games? What about those games he had 2 points?
Golden State, he had 15 and 10, and it went right to the end, and they had a chance, and the dad criticized Julius for not passing ahead to Lonzo, and in the fourth quarter, Steph said, that's enough, and took the game over. He was really good in those games. I saw flashes of special, and again, as Earl Watson always says, the point guard position is by far the hardest to transition in.
Well, if he is what you say he is, it shouldn't be a problem.
Well, I just said you can't argue with what I just gave you.
Okay, what about those?
You said he's a soft bust.
I didn't.
So,
Skip,
yes, you did.
Skip.
You've dismissed him.
I did not say he's a bust. I said I don't see what you see. He's soft. Earl Watson, hold on.
How do you get 16 rebounds and be a soft NBA player? Point guard. Is Russell Westbrook soft?
Oh, they have the same mentality.
Yeah.
Are you comparing Lonzo Ball to Russell Westbrook?
No, but he can average a triple-double. He's not that far. He's, 9, 7, and 7 right now, and he's played terrible so far, and he's averaging 9, 7, and 7. Watch what'll happen. You don't think he could average a Jason Kidd triple-double?
No.
I do.
Yeah, and turnovers, maybe so.
It's close already.
Okay, but you're
completely wrong about this.
What about the 2 points? What about the 2 points the other night? What about the 3 of 18s? What about the 7s, the 5s, the 4s?
I just told you what happens. He just shuts it down.
You doing LaVar Ball? You making excuses for your son.
I haven't made any excuses.
Yes, you are.
I have not.
Either you do or you don't. That's what pro sports is. It's very short list, Joey. You know what, Joe? I used to be. You know what I did before I did this? I was in the excuse-making business. Couldn't make no money.
You know what? I've seen.
Because you can either get results or you make excuses.
A whole lot of busts in the NBA, and you can just see right away they just can't play at this level. And I've predicted a bunch of them before drafts. This kid can definitely play at this level.
Skip, there's a difference.
Doc Rivers said the other night, just a week and a half ago, Doc Rivers said he's not going to be good, he's going to be great.
What was Doc supposed to say? He terrible? What coach has ever said that about another player?
Doc's
Come on,
been
Skip,
around
stop
a
it.
long time.
And you've been around a long
stop
time.
it.
You've been around a long time. You know coaches don't take shots at other players.
These guys who played the point guard position, they see the gift. He's got the gift, and he doesn't use the gift because.
So what good is the gift if you can't use it?
I don't know. And the problem is going to be, let's say LaVar forces a trade, then the next coach will be at fault too. That's what I said. They're going to have to start their own league.
Well, you making excuses for it. You keep saying, look at this, look at these games. Look at these, he's 20 years old and got 2 triple-doubles. All I see is I don't see
consistency. 5 double-doubles? Wow, that's pretty good.
Consistency.
Ooh.
Joy, I was in that business, Joy. I had to get out of it. I was going belly up, Joy. Excuses or results?
Yeah.
Results pays bills. Excuses gets you fired.
Well, I don't like it that he hasn't been playing him in the fourth quarter. I don't like it.
How can
He's
I?
just a baby. Just turned 20 years
How
old.
can I?
Okay, but you have to let him play through it. But and again, I'm not making an excuse, but I'm saying what Lonzo can't do is if the coach is trying to teach him a lesson, you got to just keep playing. You got to try. You can't shut it down just because your father said you got to shut it down.
Luke Walton's not trying to teach him no lessons.
Yeah,
Luke Walton's trying to win a game.
No, he's
Well, you're either trying to win this year or you're trying to get better this year. So what are the Lakers trying to do?
I'm trying to do both, and in the fourth quarter, he's not helping
have
me
it
either.
all in that situation.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Fighting for what? Do you want to get better for next year?
Yep.
Do you want him to have experience in his rookie year?
I want him to show me. You got to earn. Hey,
How's he going to show you if he's on the bench in the fourth quarter?
because when I put him in, he give me 2 points. He's minus 15.
He's a rookie.
Hold on. He getting paid.
He's a rookie. I mean, look,
Hold
I
on.
get it.
It's okay.
He
What's Jason
he
Tatum?
has a target on his back.
If you don't mind me asking, what's Jason
He
Tatum?
may be playing better, but that doesn't mean
What's
that he's
Donovan
a
Mitchell?
bust. We're not even at the All-Star break.
I didn't say
They
he
all
was a bust.
played.
I
Yeah,
don't
you did.
see
Yes,
special.
you did.
No,
you
I
said
did.
he was a bust.
Skip.
It's okay. It's
Skip.
okay.
If-
I got it. You're on record.
That's one thing, Shannon Sharp.
I'm
Don't
going to hold
mince no
your
words.
feet to the fire.
I don't mince no words.
Yep.
I didn't say he was a
We'll
bust.
see them again
He's soft.
at the Sixers tomorrow
And I don't see
night.
special.
I will say, though, I don't think LiAngelo and the Melo are ready for Big Three. I think Kenyon and
Yeah,
Stacks.
they would have a
Stack.
hard time.
Oh, Stacks got this.
Bonzi
Hell,
and
Stacks.
Al Harrington would have something to say about that.
No mercy.
Remember earlier in the season when the Cavs were struggling? Well, now they've won 12 in a row, and they face the Kings tonight. The Cavs defense has made a dramatic improvement. During their first 12 games, they were last in the league in defensive efficiency, but during their current streak, they're 8th. We're joined by FS1 analyst Chris Broussard here to talk about this unprecedented streak
It is. It's something.
by the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Joy.
Look, you can't
like that.
you can't belittle the streak.
It's a nice streak.
It's a good streak. This is what I think happened. I think LeBron got tired. He will never admit this. None of his guys, they'll admit this. But I think he got tired of hearing all about Kyrie and seeing how Boston was winning. And a little bit like, okay, we do need to play better because they balling.
Yeah.
And he's just, I give him credit for catapulting his team the way he has. And I have to say this, I think you would even agree with this.
Maybe.
He is the first player in NBA history to be the best player in the league in his 15th season.
Best. The best.
I don't think you can name another one.
Kareem.
Not
No,
in his 15th
not
year.
15.
By that point, Magic was the
Magic
best
was there.
player on the team. So
Let me
that
think about it.
think about that's
Well,
a
have the
topic maybe
Cavs
for
fix
another day.
all of their issues.
I like what they're doing. Defense is the most impressive thing about this. It's the thing you can really sink your teeth in. As you said, from last to 8th. The most impressive thing to me on the defensive end is the three-point defense.
Yeah.
They were last in three-point defense. Now they're second in this streak. I didn't know if that was fixable with Kevin Love, with Kyle Korver, with old guys like Wade and stuff. So I give them a lot of credit. That's the most impressive thing and inspiring thing if you're a Cavs fan. Here's what I'll say, though, and this is why I don't think all the problems are fixed. Because what the Cavs have found out in this streak is that sometimes less is more. They have less talent right now than they had a month ago.
You worried about Isaiah, aren't you?
Not so much Isaiah, because look, he's earned the right. You're going to put him in there and see what happens. I'm talking more about D Rose. When he gets back, what do you do with him? Tristan's going to play,
We're gonna trade
but
him.
does he start? Tristan and Shump should be traded.
We're trading him for DeAndre Jordan.
Well, you better throw in that pick.
We ain't throwing no pick.
Well, then you ain't getting DeAndre Jordan. I don't think.
What about Boogie?
That's what the Clippers are saying right now.
We'll take Boogie.
For Tristan and Shumpert?
Yep.
No. If you could do it, yeah.
do it.
Yesterday you do it,
Yeah.
but no. So I think Ty Lue has got tough decisions to make. Less is more because the roles are better defined. Everybody knows their role now. Kevin Love is playing, I will say, the best streak of his career. He's averaged 21 points, 10 rebounds, 50% shooting, 51%, 40 from three, and 90 at the foul line. He's never been an efficient scorer, even when he was in Minnesota. 45, 43%. He's the first player to put up 20, 10, 50, 40, 90. I know that's since Carl Anthony Towns. Those are the only two players to do it in the last 10 years. So Kevin Love knows his role. It's not, am I second or is D Rose second? I'm second. Okay? Wade knows this is my unit. the second team.
Yeah.
Okay,
Come
now,
out the bench.
That's
when
a big
Isaiah
deal.
gets back, Love is going to have to sink back probably to that third. I'm not sure Love shouldn't be the second option.
Exactly.
Love is a perennial all-star. So these are quite D Rose between him and Wade. Let Wade be the point guard. That's where he's been excelling. So Rose might have to stay on the bench. So these are tough decisions.
Broussard is fired up
Hey,
and
I gotta-
overreacting.
How? All I'm saying is they're
He's on
winning the
phone.
East.
Call him Bron.
No, I'm on 911. What is your emergency? I like, of the last 2 weeks, there's a 6'9", 255-pound guy streaking. I told you what was going to
funny.
happen.
That's
I
really
told you.
funny.
Oh, no. You was, Kyrie, the closer is gone. They play it really well, Chris Broussard.
They still are playing really well.
They are.
At the time you were doing all this huffing and puffing.
I didn't huff and
the
puff.
The Cavaliers were in the 11th spot. If you don't mind me asking, Skip, what spot are they in now in the East? Oh, they're number 2.
You got a cold?
They're number 2. And guess what? Before it's all said and done, we're going to be on an 18-game winning streak. Because you seen our schedule? Looking real good, Chris Broussard. I told you, this man is the best player on the planet. Got Kevin Durant getting thrown out the game, trying to keep up with him.
Yeah.
But don't worry about all that. You kept talking about Kyrie. LeBron James, over the last 3 years, suppressed who he actually was to appease Kyrie. Kyrie, you want to take the last shot? When have you ever known a four-time...
No, it's Kyrie. I need you to take the last shot.
I can't tell. Have you seen what he's been doing?
I haven't seen anything yet.
Yo, you seen it.
Impressive.
Oh, you seen it. You seen it. Hold on. Did you just not see what he did the other night, Skip?
Is it my turn?
That might be a little far, though.
What?
That LeBron suppressed to... Because LeBron... Look, he liked Kyrie being able to close. Okay. LeBron did like that. He liked Kyrie being able to close.
Okay, now we need some perspective and some truth here. So I'm going to give you this. LeBron has played great through these 12 games, and I do not toss that word around lightly and loosely. He has played great. He is not the best player on the planet. Kevin Durant is. The second best player on the planet has yet to play a game yet and just might play on Friday night in San Antonio because he's the best two-way player in basketball. And Kyrie has also played, and I do not toss this word around loosely, great for the Boston Celtics. Now let's look at these 12 games. The bigger story would be if LeBron and company had lost any of these games. I mean, I don't even...
They lost.
Those are the types of teams that were beating them early.
I got it.
You have to
There's
admit that.
one impressive game on this whole streak here, as you call it. At Detroit, I don't know what happened to the Pistons, but it was 36-23 after a quarter, and at halftime, it was 73-46 LeBron and company. Yeah. Detroit's pretty good. Are they a world beater? They're just pretty good. They're 14-9 right now, but that was impressive. I'm going to give you one game and one game only because you have played 3 teams from the better conference, the West, so far in this streak. You were at Dallas when Dallas was 2-10. You played the Clippers when they were 5-8 and they had lost 6 straight games. And then this man had the audacity, this man across from me, to tell me that LeBron closed the game with 13 straight points against a Memphis team that had lost 11 straight games, including that game, who had just fired its coach, unfortunately, David Fizdale. I thought it was unfair. But Memphis had just played back-to-back against San Antonio that had beaten them twice in 3 days without its best player, Kawhi Leonard. And I'm supposed to say, way to go, LeBron. It was a close game. Why did he need to close it? They lost 11 straight games.
Miami Heat, you love Miami. You thought they were a threat to the Cavs. They beat them by 11. Philadelphia, 24,
Oh, come
22.
on. Are we going to take
Philadelphia? That's one of the better teams in the East right now.
But hold on, Skip. You had no problem heaping praise on Kyrie when he scored 47 in the overtime, beating the Dallas Mavericks. You came over here and praised him.
Well, I mean, 47 is 47.
Against the Dallas Mavericks.
You think Kyrie is overrated.
The same Dallas Mavericks, that's 3-17.
Did you see what he did? He just said, get out of my way. I'm going to...
LeBron did, too.
Hold on.
Hey.
What about LeBron and the Wizards? What about that 57-12 he had against the Wizards?
By the way, when Kyrie beat Dallas, Dallas was coming alive, and they have come alive. They're pretty good.
Hold on.
They're not bad. They were 2-10 when LeBron went there.
What about that 57-12-6 in Washington? Are we going to gloss over that with Bradley Beal, John Wall, Gortat, Otto Porter, Oubre? Are we going to gloss over that?
I don't see that game in the streak.
Oh,
what are we talking about?
The NBA is the NBA. I don't care if you play the Nets 12 straight times.
Which is basically what they did.
To win 12 straight games is impressive.
No mercy. The Giants have been a mess this season. Last week they benched Eli Manning. This week they fired their coach and GM. Now they will reportedly go back to Eli as their starter for Sunday's game against the Cowboys. We're joined by Rob Parker.
What's happening? Good morning, everybody.
The reporter, Rob Parker.
That's right.
Look at him, Skip. He done lose. Look at him.
What's wrong with you?
He loses. That's what I asked. What's wrong with him? I mean, he drawing up like wet polyester out here. You ain't sick, are you?
You know I'm living this California, LA life.
Avocado toast.
No, I don't know about all that.
Matcha tea.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to eat healthy.
Good
I
for
feel
you.
really good.
Way to go.
Skip.
Rob, should Eli be okay with starting?
Should he be with okay? No way, no how.
Ooh.
Eli should, and I'm going to say this first, because I know a lot of people are ripping on Eli both ways. You know, some people are overpraising him, some people are ripping on him. I would take Eli Manning over just about any quarterback because this guy has won. I don't care about the Phillip Rivers, regular season guys, pile up numbers who never win anything. He won 2 Super Bowls. If you want to give him 2 great throws, 2 MVPs, beat Tom Brady twice right there. That's high in my club. You know it. Love it. Yeah. Including that 18-0 Patriots team, right? So I'm all about that. Right. But right here, right now, Eli should step back and do what's right for the organization and say, thank you very much with saying I could go back to starting, but I don't want to start. This organization has a chance to get a franchise quarterback in this draft. All these guys are laying there. This was the right thing to do. The streak's over. The time has come to move on from exit 9W. Do you know what? There's nothing left there for him. I don't want to sound like the Lone Ranger, but Tonto, our work is done here. You know, you move on, get on the horse, and go to the next place. Because it's done. And it doesn't make it bad. I just think the way that
it was handled.
They handled could have been done differently. And then Eli didn't help it either when they said to him, hey, you can start or whatever, but we want to start playing these other guys.
Let me ask you a question. They say, Rob, we're going to let you continue to work at the paper, but you write the first 2 paragraphs, but the guy is going to finish it up, and he's going to get credit for it. You doing that?
No, but the difference is,
After you've been on the cover consecutively for 200
Oh, you won 2 Pulitzer Prizes. You won 2 Pulitzer Prizes.
wait a minute.
That depends if I get to write the rest of it.
He's writing the rest of the column.
Yeah.
Look, I hear you there, but he's not unlike any other quarterback who had more success than Eli.
Right.
All right? Joe Montana should have said, if I want to stay in San Francisco until it's all done and I say it's done, he should have had that right. He won 4 Super Bowls, right? He didn't have that right.
He probably would have been able to stay had Steve Young not won the MVP that season that he got hurt. That makes it a little difficult for you to bring
but I'm still saying he still was 4-0 in the Super Bowl. It's been done. Even his brother got pushed out of Indianapolis. All I'm saying is this is not unique to Eli.
No.
It's not.
Eli
It's been done to so many guys.
And what I say, and Skip and I both agree on this, Eli is at fault here too, because had he played better, this would be a moot point. I think the problem that people have with this decision is that you went from Eli to Geno Smith. If you went from Eli to Davis Webb, it's hard for me to believe that people would have this outcry because you say, we want to look at the younger guys. But the younger guy that you want to look at is Geno because Davis Webb was inactive. So how are you going to get a chance to look at him if he's in street clothes?
But this is the way I look at the Giants situation. They don't want to win. They don't want to move out of where they are in their spot. Geno Smith gives you a better opportunity to lose.
Right.
It makes sense to me.
Well, keep him
Play
in there.
Geno. Don't hurt the other kid, Webb, right? The offensive line's not the greatest, so let Geno play, and then go draft you another quarterback, and then you have 2 young guys. I think the Giants were trying to do that, and that's why people didn't understand why are they playing Geno Smith.
So, the T-shirt that you invented for one Tom Brady that had LOAT on it, that should have Eli's face on it because you know and I know he is the luckiest quarterback of all time. Am I not right?
He's not the luckiest.
He's the luckiest. He threw the luckiest pass in Super Bowl history to Tyree.
Did you see
caught him in his face mask.
The throw to Manningham?
He made one great throw in the Super Bowl.
Now that was a great throw.
He was lucky because Tom Brady in that same game followed up with the one bad throw in all of his 7 Super Bowls that he made. He missed Welker a little high and outside. Welker probably should have made the catch.
He missed him, Skip.
Okay, it was by Tom Brady standards, he missed him. I agree. But Eli was lucky again because if that pass gets completed up the seam and it goes to the 5-yard line, we're having a different conversation.
Because then all they got to do, they can run out the clock.
It's ball game.
Because the ball game's over, because now they just killed the clock because they had to leave.
It was ball game.
Which brings us back to Eli. He made himself, in his reputation and his mystique and his aura in the Big Apple off those 2 games, right? And he has lived off the cachet of those games for season after season after season because Since the second Brady victory, they have gone 6 of 7 seasons and missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
And overall, Eli has led the league in interceptions not once or twice, but 3 times. And his QBR, my favorite 0 to 100 stat, it has fallen each of the last 4 years. And even last year was the one year they did make the playoffs. And in the last 6 games last year, they failed to score 20 or more points. They were under 20 in all 6 of those games. Well, again, it's not all Eli's fault because it was Jerry Reese's fault. He didn't shore up the offensive line or get them a run game.
His draft picks didn't work out.
None of them. Okay, so he deserved to be fired. But what happened was that John Mara, who now runs the organization, overseeing, you can't tell me he didn't have a hand in telling Ben McAdoo, okay, it's time to cut bait here. We need to check out the
Both
kid.
hands.
Both
Yeah,
hands.
both
There's
hands.
no doubt about
Both
it.
hands. But
McAdoo
all of a sudden,
wouldn't do that by
he just
himself.
wouldn't
There's
do
no
it.
He doesn't have
But
the
then
cachet.
it turned into the all-time unexpected PR nightmare because Eli is beloved in New York City.
Right.
He is, dare I say, he's Jeter-esque
Yes.
to people in New York City, right?
No doubt about it.
Okay.
He's won
So-
2 Super Bowls.
Great in the community because he's won Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Yes.
And he is really a good guy.
He is.
Nobody says different. So in the end, Mara sits back and says, oh my God, we created a PR nightmare, so I'm going to fire the coach and the GM anyway. I'm going to fire them right now because they'll become the fall guys. We'll take the glaring spotlight off 2 and 10. And now I can go back to Eli to give the fans something to get them home for the rest of the year. But it's the wrong move. I agree with you. It's the wrong-headed move because it's nothing but damage control.
Yeah.
But Eli, I don't blame because he's so beloved. He wants nothing but good PR in New York. So if he says no to that, I think it's kind of damaging to his PR.
It's
I don't
seven-
think so. If he approaches it this way and says, this organization has to move forward. I had a great time here. I won the 2 Super Bowls, all those memories. There's a draft coming up, and there's 5 or 6 guys there. And for a guy to step out and say, especially since he didn't play, and you could easily not play again, right?
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
just say, I'm doing this, I'm stepping aside.
I got it.
Because
You know,
I want to help the organization that I love.
Okay, I'm with you.
Loved.
But in the end, what Eli would love more is to finish his career in New York City, or at least in the area, exit 9W, East Rutherford, right? Because Eli has a family established, and he's got kids in New Jersey.
Yes.
So why would he want to pick up roots and go to Jacksonville for maybe 1 more year or maybe 2 at the outside? Why wouldn't he want to say to John Mara, hey, I'll start the last 4 games and let me start next year as you groom my successor? That's how he would want to finish in New York because he wants to stay in New York the rest of his life.
That's nice, but I wouldn't be a part of that deal.
If I'm Eli Manning, I'm telling John Mara, you 7 days late and a start short.
Okay.
If you didn't know better, you would swear this is a 1st or 2nd year owner. Skip, this is a lifer.
Oh, it's the whole family.
There's no way, Skip, a 2nd-year coach that's he's going to be fired. So him looking at the young guys for what? You're not going to be there to coach them.
Yep.
There's no way. There's only a handful of coaches that has the cachet to do what he did, what he placed at McAdoo's feet. A Coach Belichick, a Pete Carroll,
Yep.
they can do something like that year 14. The guy's aging, he's not playing well. You can make that decision. Not a guy that's going to get fired. Not a guy that's 2 and 10. You're not making that decision. The owner signed off on this. He placed it at his feet because you know why? Ben McAdoo's not going to be there, but this is going to be on his resume. John Mara is going to own this team forever. As long as he's alive, it's going to be in his family forever.
Will.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't want that on his resume because some of the old Giants said, well, we showed up in Eli 10 jerseys.
Yep.
The fans, we know he listened to that radio. The fans
you know he
so,
does.
so we know what was going on here. This is not Ben McAdoo. Now, we can blame Ben McAdoo, but he was the scapegoat.
Nobody thinks that Ben McAdoo
No
made
way.
this call.
But Eli could have put this to rest. Because if Eli played better, Skip, we're not even having this conversation.
Eli is the loat.
Sure.
See,
Sure. Eli could have played better, but they're 2 and 10. So at this point, what does it matter?
Yeah, so now he had 210 consecutive starts. Now you're about to start a new streak.
I feel like we should just give him a little asterisk. Like, this is the one time
I
that
agree.
John
I'm
Mara
not-
No asterisk.
lost it and benched
I'm
him
not
for
going
Geno
back in
Smith
there.
and then just keep it up again, right?
I'm gonna keep Eli making about $16 million. I'm gonna get that
Nobody's
$1
on board
million
with that?
check. No,
None of us are on board with
No.
that. No asterisk.
I'm
No.
not going back in there.
Streak's over.
No mercy.
Patriots are rolling right now on an 8-game winning streak. They have the #1 offense in football and are tied with the Steelers for the best record in the AFC at 10-2. The Steelers have a huge matchup Sunday night against the Ravens. Pittsburgh has won 7 straight, while Baltimore has won 3 straight. We're joined by FS1 analyst Ray Lewis. Welcome back, Ray.
Good to see you.
Morning. Been too long.
Yes. Who is a bigger threat to the Patriots in the AFC, the Steelers or the Ravens?
Who's a bigger threat? So you take both of these teams, right? One of them, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers, offensively, they can score on the Patriots. Defensively, they're going to have a problem stopping the Patriots. Let's go to Baltimore. Baltimore, I can see their defense really playing very well against the Patriots. Offense, I don't see them scoring no points on the Patriots. So now you have
Merge the teams together.
you got to try to figure.
That would be something.
You got to try to figure something out, because if you're thinking about New England, right, you got to be able to put points up on Tom Brady. You have to be able. That defense is not as good as it once was, that it's always been historically, right? And so now you ask yourself, is Ben Roethlisberger the guy to do that? I think he has enough offensive weapons to go in there and absolutely do that. Baltimore will have to play a flat-out best defensive game they've ever played in their lives to go in there and beat them. And offensively, hopefully, they can get 17, 21 points. So, I've been weighing this for a while, like who is in the AFC can make this run to dethrone the Patriots? And then you think about Tom Brady sitting back there. And now that's where that one gem that says, who can outplay Tom Brady? What quarterback, which one of them can outplay Tom Brady? And that's where I think the real issue is. So I don't know. I kind of lean. I don't know. I lean.
So your answer is nobody, right?
I said this a week or so ago. I don't necessarily say nobody. I just don't see the team right now that can go in and dethrone the New England Patriots right now.
For the sake of this conversation, I'm going to say the Steelers. But in my heart, I believe there's one team that can beat them. That's San Diego. Because they got a defense that can hit you in the mouth, and Phillip Rivers is not afraid of anybody.
Absolutely.
And I agree with everything you're saying about the Steelers. The Steelers offensively, when you look at the killer bees, Ben, Le'Veon, and Antonio Brown, they can move the ball against anybody. Solid offensive line. They can move people back running the football. They can protect Ben. And then Juju, and then Martavis Bryant. I like Jesse James. The tight end is really, he can move. I like that. But their defense, no Joe Hayden, Ryan Shazier, we don't know if and when he's coming back. Now, the way you get to Tom Brady, everybody's like, well, you got to put pressure, obviously, but you got to collapse the pocket from the inside. Because if you come around the edges, he's just going to step up. You got to force him to Bud Dupree. You got to force him to T.J. Watt. So Cameron Hayward is going to play big. You got to collapse the pocket from the inside to force him. Baltimore can play outstanding defense, but the loss of Jimmy Smith is going to really hurt them because now, even though you have Marlon Humphrey, you put him into the starting lineup. Now you got a guy that wasn't playing a whole lot going to the nickel slot. Do you really want to?
That's what Tom Brady's going.
Exactly. And then you got the Ravens offense. They're 30th in total offense, 31st in passing. Now, Joe Flacco is not afraid of Tom Brady. He can stand toe-to-toe with him. He's beaten him twice. He's a drop touchdown away from beating him 3 times in his own building. But not this Ravens offense. I don't believe the defense is strong enough to hold Tom Brady to say 13 points. You got to get somewhere around 24 offensively and then get a couple of turnovers here or there. So I'm going to say the Steelers, but in actuality, I don't think either one of these teams pose a bigger threat as the Chargers do.
So, on one hand, this is just a silly question because on paper, it ain't even close.
No.
We're talking about Big Ben and AB and Le'Veon and Juju and Martavis and I can do Jesse James. You just keep going. But on mental toughness, on psyche, on history and tradition, which is still alive and somewhat well in that Ravens locker room, it's Ravens all day and all night. And that's my bottom line to this question. It is the Ravens. Even though right now, if you look at regular season, Big Ben versus Flacco, Flacco's QBR is 28th in the NFL right now. Jay Cutler has a better one. Bortles has a better one. Eli has a better one. But we all know what happens if Joe Flacco gets in the postseason. He turns into Tom Brady. No, I'm serious, and I'm not exaggerating. He turns in. 10. He's 25 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, and he is 10-5 in the postseason. And over his last 8, postseason games, he's thrown at least 2 touchdown passes in each one of those. That's sensational.
Yeah.
That's inarguable. I can't find any bone to pick with anything Flacco has done in the postseason.
No.
So, as you point out, Tom Brady against the Ravens, he's 2-2 in the postseason, and against Pittsburgh in the postseason, he's 3-0, all 3 in AFC Championship games. And Tom, career 10-2 against Pittsburgh, and he's 5-2 at Pittsburgh just in his career. Yeah. So you don't think Tom's in his psyche?
Wants Pittsburgh.
He wants Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Because he has just dominated Pittsburgh.
Well, so one of the things that has always been different, AFC North football, is what we were able to do on defense early against Tom. It's the same thing the San Diego Chargers can do, and that's rush 4. When you can rush 4 and you can drop everybody else back, Pittsburgh is one of the only few teams I've ever seen play him where they want to play him and zone blitz him. The game is too easy. Cover 1, cover 3. I know where I'm going with the ball. Outright. So when you play that and then you see him continuously go down the field and you never make an adjustment, right? Because you want to hit him. But if you're not pressing that pocket from the inside, then that's why he loves to play Pittsburgh.
Right.
He's saying, give me Pittsburgh all day. Baltimore's a totally different problem defensively. Because now you got to deal with pressure coming from the inside. You're barely going to be able to run the ball, and they're going to beat you up physically.
If you look at the way Denver had success doing Tom Brady, the 2 times they beat him, they pushed the pocket with Malik Jackson and Wolf, and then they forced him to Vaughn and D. Ware. If you just come around the edges, he's going to step up in the pocket. You got to put somebody in his lap. And that's the thing. Because, see, the thing is with Joe, because Joe's arm is so strong, there's no element that bothers him. He can throw in rain, he can throw in wind, he can throw in the snow. Yeah. So he can throw it. The question is can the Steelers' defense with that 3-man Coach Belichick is really is the master of the 3-down lineman. Yeah. So he's with Brady. So Brady knows where you're coming from. Brady look at your defense, he's like, okay, you better not back this tackle out there and bring that slot guy. If you do, I'm gonna dump it to him. Yeah. Before.
Point taken. And my friend Ryan Clark at ESPN used to just scream to me, they stole our signals. Every game they stole. I said, they didn't steal your signals. He just looked at what you were doing and said, I got that. He didn't need your signals, right?
You know this. Really big, really good offensive line. When you're going against a 3-man front, you always treat the backers as bigs. Because if you don't treat them as bigs, you're going to put your backs on Suggs. You don't want your back blocking Suggs.
Mismatch.
So what you do is that you always fan it. You always kick your tackles. Yep. You got the linebackers. And see, the problem that the Steelers have is that the rushers, that 3-man front, I believe in order to beat Tom, you got to have 4 down linemen. You got to be able to push the pocket and drop 7. Now, you can't give him, don't let him eat all the time. So you got to give him something different.
Yeah.
But it's got to be 4, and you got to sometimes bring 5, sometimes drop 8. But if you give him the same look, if you give him the same 3-man front, okay, he eat it up.
Historically, the teams that's beat Tom Brady.
The Giants in the Super Bowl, 4-man rush. The Broncos, the AFC Championship game.
No, that's a good point.
The Ravens.
Yeah.
They physically beat that offensive line. Just physically, flat out. Because that changes his entire game, Skip, is totally different.
You got to speed him up.
You got to speed him up.
Skip, if you just let him go 1, 2, 3.
That's too easy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Too easy.
You're not going to beat him.
Too easy.
You must speed him up. You must make him think that the pressure is going to ride before it does. And then he'll get around his feet a little bit. Sometimes you got to take a shot. Like Suggs, you got a tough personal foul. You got to put that in his mind. Oh, yeah, we coming today. Yeah. We'll give you 15. But I just want you to know, put this helmet on your chin again.
I'll be back. Back.
So
hold that thought.
One team still has Terrell Suggs, and one team does not have Terrell Suggs. And I know he's a little longer in the tooth, my friend T. Sizzle, but you're close to that team. Yeah. He can play, man. He can still bring it.
They can play.
Yeah.
What Sizzle is doing with this defense, they have the most turnovers in the game. They're a turnover machine right now, right? Dean Pease, what Dean Pease is dialing up right now, it's huge. But back to what Shannon said earlier, losing Jimmy Smith changes the dynamics.
It does.
Because now you take
one guy that could go man
one
to
guy.
man.
And now you take Tom, and Tom is looking at this one guy saying, oh, I got one. And as good as greatest talent as Humphries is, he's still young. And experience is everything against a Brady-led offense.
But I would submit
Yeah.
to you that losing Shazier is more important to that defense
agree.
than Jimmy Smith is to your defense.
But here's the thing, though. Not only did they lose Shazier, Joe Hayden is out.
Yeah.
So
Which is
now
huge.
he's a man guy that you can put on somebody.
Yep.
Now you lose Shazier because this is what we know. And I told Skip this yesterday, Ray. You know when you play team sports, it's predatory behavior. We're gonna find a weak link
Yep.
and we're gonna take advantage of
That's
it.
the-
So we're gonna feed on that until you give us something.
Name of the game.
That's it.
Name of the game.
All I'm trying to do is find one weak link. I don't care if it's your corner,
don't
if
matter.
it's your safety, if it's your D lineman.
Yeah.
We find out, look at Cincinnati. That game, the moment Burfict went out,
Game
how
over.
can we get Le'Veon Bell on 51?
Absolutely.
Yep.
How can we do it?
Isolate.
And they got him.
They got him. They did.
Yeah.
Well, I can just tell you, the one team, Tom Brady does not want to see Suggs and Flacco. He just doesn't want to see them.
I believe that.
Yep.
I believe that.
Timmy Williams, I don't know where Ozzie fired them jokers from, but he get them jokers to stomp. They about 6 foot tall, about 300, and they ain't moving.
And all they doing is just plowing their legs in the ground and letting everybody else
And that
run.
running back, Alex Collins, every time I look, he looks like he's pretty good.
Yeah. They would have to have the perfect game. They would have to have the perfect
They
game.
would need 24.
They
They
would need
got
24.
to get to 24.
Got to get to 24.
Because at home, Tom Brady going to get 24
The
points.
Patriots, Steelers, and Ravens all have big games this weekend, too.
Yeah.
Patriots are going to Miami on Monday night.
Daddy don't be
Joe, that's-
And the
James
Steelers.
Cutler.
Hey,
I-
hey, listen. They don't take that game lightly.
Tom Brady
Joy.
going to be
He's
a
got a
dog, so eating
2-5.
crab
He's
legs.
got a 2-5 record at Hard Rock Stadium in December and January.
Tom Brady said, hey,
7-8 overall.
he called Joe. Hey, Joe, I got a game at 8:30. I need them crab legs at 10.
Anyway.
No mercy.
Punishments from the very physical Steelers-Bengals game came down yesterday. Cincinnati safety George Iloka was suspended 1 game for his hard hit on Antonio Brown. He has appealed, and ESPN reports the appeal will be heard tonight. Steelers receiver Juju Smith-Schuster was also suspended a game for his block on Vontaze Burfict. Schuster was not ejected, but he received penalties for unnecessary roughness and taunting. We're joined once again by Ray Lewis. Ray, do you agree with these suspensions?
The game is in real trouble if what that safety did is a penalty for him to get kicked out. I want you to look at that picture very closely. Do you see that kid's head turned? That's not a spear. That's not a direct, what the rule says is that you take the crown of your helmet and you spear somebody. That's not a spear. His head is to the side. Juju, Hines Ward was on the sideline during that game. Hines Ward made that same block famous. Now, standing over him, that's a problem. But the hit, that's football. And I'm listening to all of these people. Oh my gosh, this is the most physical game. This is not basketball. When you step out there in the AFC North, probably the last 2 decades, probably last 2 or 3 decades, the most physical division in football. When you talk about rivals who don't like each other, that's football. But you take hits now, right? And it done filtered all the way down to the high school and collegiate level. Because now you make a hard hit and you're like, oh my gosh, you can't do that. What do you mean? That's why I play the game, Skip. I didn't play the game to let one of Eddie George, Corey Dillon, Jerome Bettis, or Fred Taylor say, oh, it's a great game. Hey, get up and pat me on the back of the shoulder. Hey, this game is great. I wanted to deliver a message. A lot of those hits, look, Juju standing over Burfict out of it's not even a question. What Gronk did the other day, it's so embarrassing in sports. But when you talk about football plays, there's no way, if you're gonna suspend a defender, because when he went into that meeting room, you know what his defensive coordinator saying? That's the only way you can play that. That's the only way you can play that. And so when the appeal goes in, I want to make sure the appeal is watching the final result and not pleasing everybody else who don't play the game. Because if you're going to please somebody, you got to please the people who's scrapping up those cleats every day and putting their life on the line. You think Ryan Shazier doesn't feel a certain way? We put our lives on the line every time we go out there because we have a job to do. But for us to keep finding these kids for doing their jobs, and now we're suspending them 1 game for making a hard hit. Ronnie Lott was the reason we played this game. John Lynch is the reason we played this game. Dick Buckus was the mentality, the way to play this game. And now we've taken the game and we've told everybody, if you do your job, if you try to make that ball come out of Antonio Brown's hand by making the perfect hit, I'm going to suspend you. Wow. Man, I'm telling you, let's just play flag football.
You know what happened? Those 32 owners got a letter from a court, from a federal judge, that said you got $1 billion to pay. That changed everything. That was the game changer. And you're right. That's the way, when I came into the league, you sent a message. You went across the middle in cover 2, they decapitated you, whether you was catching the ball or not, because they wanted you to know in the 4th quarter, if they thought about throwing it to you, you thought about Ronnie Lott, you thought about Dennis Smith or Steve Atwater. They don't allow you to play that way anymore, Ray.
You're right.
It's a different game now.
You're right.
And that Hines Ward delivered that very blow on Keith Rivers, who wore 55. Peel back block, broke his jaw. From that point on, they says not only can offensive players be defenseless, so can a defender. A few years later, they instituted the Warren Sapp rule. Remember, he put the hit on Chad Clifton. It was away from the plate. So now you can't block on a return interception. You can't block a guy that doesn't have an opportunity to make the play. They changed the rule. They're saying this receiver was in a defensive position. For me, I'm saying, okay, you catching a pass. Well, I mean, it's hard to catch a pass and defend yourself at the same time. So I get it. These are the rules where we are now. The problem that I have with this is that they gave them the same suspension that they gave Gronk. Juju made a football move. Now, the standing over, no, that's not me.
Right.
He's trying to dislodge the ball.
That's it.
He's trying to get a peel back ball.
That's it.
Gronk thought he was in the WWE. He was upset. He told you, the guy held me from start to finish. Not only did he hold me, the official didn't call it, and then he got an interception on me. The guy's laying on the ground. He winds up his elbow up and hits him in the most vulnerable part of the head, which is the back of it. And he got a game. So I'm saying, let this be a teachable moment. If you fight, it's 2 games. If you personal foul somebody in a non-football play, the Mike Evans, Skip, you remember Mike Evans in New Orleans when he came from the other side and hit the guy in the back? That's not a football play. Because an offensive player can never block anybody in the back. So that's not a football play. 2 games. Because you remember, Skip, the ratings were down 5%. Now, I believe they're going to come up because of what's going to happen next year. The players are not going to even come out for the national anthem. They're going to have the national anthem because the players used to didn't come out. It wasn't until, the military started giving a few dollars and they had the players because it looked good for the players standing at attention on the sideline. They're going to go back, put them in the locker room because you ain't going to see no more protests. They're going to clean this up, Skip. You watch. In the offseason, they're going to put it into play. Fighting, if you fight 2 games. They finna ramp it up.
You cannot, to your point, you cannot penalize someone for purely doing their job. That's totally different.
I know, but here's the thing.
But
that $1 billion, and the safety, and we've seen the decline in the youth registration of playing this game. It's a violent game, Skip. You know that. You covered it for 40 years. You played it 17. I played it 14. It's not a contact sport. It's a collision sport.
Yes, sir.
And the game of football in its very premise is about intimidation. Is because I'm trying to send you a message. You think you tough? I believe we tougher.
Okay. I hear you, and I really hear you, and the message you're sending. Because in a vacuum, I agree with you on both those hits. They're not suspendable hits. They're not even finable hits once upon a time.
Yes.
They were just hits.
Yeah.
They were football plays. But I remind you, when you played the Pittsburgh Steelers as a Raven, it was a respect-based rivalry. It was ferocious, fierce hitting, but it was done out of respect for each other, and the blood wasn't that. I never got bad blood between Ravens and Steelers like I get between these Bengals and these Steelers, and it starts with the Bengals.
Well, Burford and them started when they started all that cheap shots. When we played, it wasn't, and I only played 2 years, it was no cheap shot.
No.
I'm hitting you in the mouth.
That's correct.
Straight up.
It's real hardcore football. But this has degenerated into revenge games where it's bad blood hit followed by bad blood. It's eye for an eye for an eye for an eye. And this was a game on Monday Night Football that was a poor advertisement for a game of football that has taken a PR beating this year for lots of reasons.
Yes.
But in this case, it became an ugly football game, and it was mostly the Bengals' fault.
Yeah.
But Vontaze Burfict has been a primary perpetrator of the bad blood. So Juju takes a shot at him and then stood over him because he knows the history. He's a rookie, but he knows the history, and he stood over him like, I got you. And he's winning big points with his teammates in the locker room because he got him good.
Antonio Brown screaming karma.
Karma.
Yeah.
Okay? So it is followed on the same drive by the other hit in question. So remember, they just go down the field, boom, 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 and get to the end zone, and then that play happens that you're talking about. And it's borderline. I think you're seeing it after the head's turned, but there was helmet-to-helmet contact. Okay, I got
The
you.
only thing on our shoulders is our head, but okay.
Okay, I got you. But it came across as a retaliation type of a hit. You got one of ours, I'm going to get your best player, as Burfict took out Antonio at the end of the playoff game. And then Burfict had the audacity again to bring it up last week. AB is winking at me on the field like he's faking it. Like, I don't think he was faking it, but whatever.
Yeah, he going in and out of consciousness. He
Yeah,
wasn't winking
faking
at-
it.
That's not what he was thinking about.
Yeah, he wasn't winking.
Yeah. So the point is, the NFL made a PR move to say, no, I'm going to suspend you for a game and you for a game because we can't have any more eye for an eye because it's a revenge battle now. You got it?
Skip, I get it.
Ray, we not playing in 2000.
Not even 2000, 2012, 2011.
Okay.
When you walk in your coordinator's room, everybody's isolated. Tight ends go in their room.
Yep.
Linebackers go in their room. Safeties goes in their room. And your coach, he leans back in his chair. And he's just going to have the remote. And the only thing from a defensive perspective, from the linebacker to the safety position that you're talking about is physical football. That's all the only way you're making it on these teams, on these rosters.
Yep.
You're saying this kid comes out, hits Antonio. I don't know what else.
I got
You
you in
want him
a
to
vacuum. I got it.
Right.
Okay, now back to this man, because he believes that the New England Patriots and Gronkowski and maybe Brady, they're all getting preferential treatment. That's where you see this coming from.
I just feel if Gronk was trying to make a tackle and he did the play, or if he's trying to make a block, but when the guy's on the ground and you make a conscious decision, because remember what they said, we can't determine intent. What Gronk told you, it was malicious and it was intentional.
Yeah.
So he intended to do what he did. He could have seriously hurt this man.
Okay, I got it. And you're right. That was just nothing but an after-the-whistle cheap shot.
Yeah, cheap shot.
Okay, got it. But Gronkowski had no history of cheap shots before. He was not considered a dirty player, so he has no reputation or track record for this. And in this case, the referee, the whole officiating crew saw this because it happened after the whistle. They didn't even eject him for this. And remember, A.J. Green went MMA, he
Rear naked choke.
stranglehold.
Yeah.
Remember this? And he's throwing punches at Jalen
Yes.
Ramsey. And they ejected him, but they did not suspend him for that play. So in this case, one game is fine with me because he doesn't have a track record. And I do think you have to put it in the context of the game. You say I'm making excuses for him. They clutch and grab him every play, and he finally
Ray,
snaps.
That's football.
Ray,
Yeah.
let me ask you ever got held?
Yeah,
You ever held?
man.
So after the play, did you turn around and punch him under the
No,
chin?
17 years.
Thank you.
17 years.
You don't think I got held?
Yeah, 17 years I played this game, Skip. And I have never, in 17 years, ever retaliated or threw a punch.
But you did have those big elephants up there
Well,
steering away from you, right?
They let me do what I do best. They let me do what I do best.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, to Shannon point, this offseason, this has to be simple. Non-football play,
Okay.
football play. Because those are two totally different categories.
Yep.
That's it.
Football play, you got to.
Okay.
They've
but-
tried to work that out with what's a catch and not a catch, and we still.
Oh,
we're
we
a
still stuck with that.
We're a little hazy on that too.
See, you need to stop. This ain't 2000. That stuff that Goose and Sam Adams was doing the quarterback.
That Bobby Boucher. That Bobby Boucher.
No mercy,
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. Join us again the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.